Are you experiencing this miraculous shift? Discover the divine purpose revealed in 40 days. In a sleepy English village, where the hills rolled like waves and the ancient church stood as a sentinel of faith, a devoted mother named Sarah faced the storm of her life. Her vibrant son, David, just 10 years old, had been struck down by a rare illness that brought her heart to a standstill. As the local doctor, a gentle soul and parishioner, offered little beyond prayers of comfort, Sarah was left to grapple with despair. The flicker of doubt began to creep into her heart, casting shadows over the faith she once held so dear. On the brink of losing her hope, Sarah gathered her community for a 40-day prayer vigil at the church. "Let us seek divine intervention," she proclaimed, her voice filled with solemnity as candles flickered gently in the twilight. The air was thick with anticipation, each whisper of prayer a heartbeat of trust. Villagers came, their faces alight with fervor or fraught with skepticism. Some murmured doubts, claiming hope was misplaced, yet many rallied around her, bolstered by her unyielding spirit. Days passed, and Sarah felt an unshakable heaviness take root within her chest. Her spirit wrestled between faith and doubt, light and shadow danced in her heart. Yet one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, something stirred within her, an inner voice urging her toward a sacred pilgrimage to the shrine of St. George, known for miracles. A divine calling? She dared to hope. Preparations began, but the village was divided. "It's perilous for a woman alone," warned some with furrowed brows. Others clasped her hands, urging her to trust in God's plan. Feeling the tug of destiny, Sarah steeled her resolve, trusting that divine strength would guide her steps. She set forth, the familiar path leading her into the embrace of the unknown. Arriving at the shrine, a humble structure nestled among ancient oaks, reality hit hard. The air was still, deafeningly quiet, as though heaven itself held its breath. Sarah dropped to her knees and poured out her heart, pleading for David's healing, but silence met her cries. The weight of despair threatened to consume her. Where was the light she sought? Suddenly, she recalled a verse from Scripture, words of encouragement to hold tight to faith amidst trials. With trembling hands, she opened her heart anew and implored the Lord for strength to trust Him. As she knelt before the shrine, a miraculous warmth enveloped her, like an embrace from the heavens. The air shimmered, thick with divine presence, as a soft glow emerged at the heart of the shrine. "Oh!" Gasps erupted around her as villagers, drawn by the pulsing light, began to gather. Whispers of awe filled the air, mingling with Sarah's fervent prayers. The very atmosphere buzzed with a renewal of hope, igniting hearts once heavy with doubt. For a moment, reality felt surreal. The power of faith seemingly shifted the very fabric of the night. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Caught in this ethereal moment, Sarah felt her doubts dissolve, overridden by a new wave of faith that coursed through her, igniting something transformative within the community. Eyes widened in astonishment, spirits lifted, and an inexplicable peace flowed amongst them. Among the lanterns and hallowed whispers, a palpable understanding emerged. This miracle was not simply for David, but for them all. What did this moment mean? What was God revealing through her journey? As Sarah stood before the shimmering light, she sensed the dawn of a new calling. Leaving the villagers fueled with hope, anxiously questioning what lay ahead in this unfolding tale of faith, doubt, and the power of community. As the villagers gathered in a circle around the radiant glow emanating from the shrine, a hush fell over the crowd. Their hearts raced in unison, swaying with a collective breath held tight. Sarah lifted her gaze, feeling the warmth within her heart grow, like the morning sun breaking through a veil of clouds. God is so good, she breathed, feeling the intricate dance of hope swirling in the air around them. The light pulsed softly, painting the faces of the faithful with its ethereal brilliance. Each flicker seemed to awaken memories of faith long dormant, awakening deep-rooted aspirations nestled within their souls. Murmurs of wonder spilled forth from the crowd. "Look, the light. It grows brighter." Someone gasped, eyes wide with disbelief. Another elder, her hands trembling, whispered, "It's a sign, a message from God." Fingers interlocked, they began to pray aloud, a symphony of voices rising to the heavens, weaving a tapestry of trust and longing. Yet as Sarah drew deeper into the moment, an inner voice spoke softly to her heart. What if this miracle is but the beginning? The thought flickered like the flame of a candle, illuminating both hope and uncertainty. She yearned for David, yet her spirit ventured into uncharted territory. In this intertwining of faith and desire, Sarah sensed a divine invitation to be a vessel of hope not just for her son, but for the entire village. As though reading her thoughts, a young boy stepped forward, his innocent gaze locked onto the radiant light. "Do you think it will heal him, Miss Sarah?" His voice wavered, full of trembling vulnerability. Sarah knelt down beside him, brushing her fingers against the cool earth. "I believe that whatever happens, we must trust that God knows what is best for us," she whispered, her heart swelling with love. "Every prayer, every moment we spend in faith, draws us closer to Him. Our doubts may linger, but love will always find a way." The boy nodded, his eyes glistening, reflecting the glow surrounding them. Inspired by her words, members of the community began to step closer to the shrine, emboldened by the understanding that their united faith held an undeniable power. Each flicker of the miraculous light answered their whispers of longing. As night fully enveloped the village, a sense of kinship blossomed between the villagers, old divisions softening like frost under the warm rays of spring. They held hands, young and old, skeptics and believers embracing a oneness birthed from shared hope. A sense of expectancy filled the air, tangible and electric, and in that moment, a wave of gratitude washed over Sarah. But then, the light began to pulse more forcefully, and Sarah felt a tremor in her soul, a subtle yet commanding presence. "What is happening?" she wondered, glancing at the others whose expressions mirrored her own concern. An elderly man, his voice trembling, declared, "Pray, everyone. Whatever God has for us, let us be ready." This call ignited their spirits once again, and they pressed closer together, squeezing hands tighter. Now, all gazes rested upon the shrine, the light's brilliance weaving through the night, enchanting them. But amid this beautiful chaos, a deeper question loomed in the shadows. Were they truly willing to surrender in pursuit of divine grace? As the shimmering brightness swelled, Sarah held her breath. What would unfold next in a world on the cusp of transcendence? The light intensified, soaking the air with an almost tangible energy. It felt as if the very essence of their hopes and fears was being coalesced into this single glowing point. Sarah's heart raced as she felt the warmth not just around her, but deep within her, igniting a passion for faith she fully realized was there in the midst of their prayers. The voice of the young boy broke through again, powerful yet innocent. "Miss Sarah, what else can we do?" His face shone with unadulterated faith, eyes wide as he looked at her. The village held its collective breath, caught in the tension of possibility. "Let us raise our voices together," Sarah responded, a spark of inspiration flowing through her. "Join me in singing praises, for every song is a prayer, and every heart can bear witness to God's love." And so, their voices rose, filling the cool night air with melodies that soared toward the heavens. Each note intertwined like threads in a divine tapestry, wrapping around every heart present. They sang of miracles and love, healing and community. With each verse, the light danced with them, a rhythm of faith synchronized to their beating hearts. The villagers began to sway, moved by the presence of God that enveloped them. Sarah could feel the ancient walls of doubt and fear crumbling around them. It was as though a dam had burst open, pouring forth years of pent-up longing for connection and surrender. "God is here," she shouted among the joyful cries, her soul alive with fervent truth. Suddenly, the lights surged, filling every corner of the shrine. A stunning vision began to emerge within its warm glow. Sarah gasped, her heart pounding as she recognized the forms of her ancestors' figures she had only seen in faded photos and old stories. They smiled back at her, nodding gently, as if to say, "We have always been with you." But the vision did not stop there. As waves of shimmering brilliance continued to roll through, she saw faces of those who had come before, neighbors, friends, and even strangers whose faith had paved the way for this moment. Sarah felt a rush of emotion. Tears spilled down her cheeks, blending with the awe and wonder dancing in the eyes of her community. "What a gift!" she whispered aloud, her breath catching in her throat. The villagers took notice of her reaction, some still singing, others staring in stunned silence. They turned their eyes to the shrine, witnessing history and hope intertwining into a single mesmerizing reality. The elderly man who had called for prayer now stepped forward, voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Our forebears are here. They have not left us. They have come to guide us in this moment of grace." The atmosphere bore a heavy yet palpable weight of holiness. Sarah's spirit soared, yet a feeling of urgency crept in. What were we to do with this experience? She couldn't help but ponder. The divine connection they felt was not simply for them. It demanded action in response to the call of the Almighty, as they united in a prayer of thanksgiving, floating atop waves of joy and reverence. A singular thought emerged like a mighty wind. What was their purpose now? What are they meant to share with the world, awakened by this divine visitation? What was it that God desired for them in this fated hour? The fiery light became a symbol, beckoning them to move forward, to step beyond mere wonder into purposeful living. Now, as the brilliance began to fade slowly, the villagers held on tightly to one another, their hearts synchronized in a powerful beat. The question hung in the air like the glow that lingered. Where would this journey of faith lead them next? The air began to settle, yet the warmth of that heavenly luminescence clung to them, like a gentle embrace refusing to let go. Sarah looked around, catching the glimmers of wonder in the eyes of her neighbors. These faces she had known for years now appeared transformed, as if they were unwrapped gifts brimming with newfound potential. "Listen," Sarah said softly, drawing attention to the stillness that hung after the chorus had faded. "We've been given this moment together, but it must inspire us to do more. God has taken us this far. Let us not keep this light to ourselves." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some nodded, while others exchanged glances of trepidation. What action could small, humble villagers take in response to such an extraordinary gift? Fear and uncertainty began to creep back in as they considered the weight of purpose bestowed upon them. One brave soul stepped forward, a woman whose hands were etched with the lines of hard work and labor. Her voice, although shaky, resonated with the strength of her heart. What if we start with our own community? The sick, the lonely, those who have lost hope? We could extend this light. A wave of agreement washed over them as voices grew bolder. "We can share meals," shouted a young man, excitement alight on his face. Another added, "Let us gather the children and teach them the songs of praise. They can carry this joy forward." Laughter mingled with the renewed sense of purpose, and the air thickened with anticipation. Sarah felt a swell of gratitude bubble within her, for it was clear that their hearts had expanded in unity. "Yes, together we are stronger," she exclaimed, her spirit on fire with enthusiasm. As they discussed their plans, Sarah began to feel that familiar warmth inside her chest again. The spirit was moving, weaving into their words and intentions. She opened her mouth to speak, when suddenly a faint glow flickered back through the shrine. The villagers turned in unison, eyes drawn to the magical light that began to pulse like a heartbeat. It was different this time, a vibrant color shifting from gold to deep azure, reflecting deep truth and creativity. What is happening? A voice quivered from the back. Perhaps it's a sign, Sarah suggested, her voice trembling with excitement. God wants us to know that our intentions and dreams have been heard. The villagers leaned forward, captivated by the mesmerizing dance of colors that now filled the shrine. The elderly man, filled with vigor, stepped closer. This is not just for us. The world is waiting for us to act. Our ancestors believed in the power of community. They taught us how to care for one another. Let us honor them by bringing this vision to life. A chorus of amens erupted, echoing through the night as the villagers linked hands once more, forming a circle reflecting unity. The lights swirled around them, vibrant and alive, filling their hearts with renewed courage. Let us put our faith into action, Sarah shouted, her eyes gleaming with determination. As their voices rose, a heartfelt commitment settled among them. This was the dawn of a new purpose, a mission ignited by love. But as they prepared to embark on this sacred journey, a thought lingered in Sarah's mind. What happens when we face challenges ahead? Will our faith be enough? What if we must give more than we ever thought possible? The air crackled with anticipation as the shadows of doubt loomed overhead. The villagers waited, breath held, ready to step into the wild unknown. What awaited them in the days to come? As the villagers stood together, hand in hand, a silence enveloped them, a silence thick with promise and uncertainty. In that moment, Sarah felt the weight of their collective hope resting gently on her shoulders. The glow pulsing from the shrine mirrored the rhythm of their hearts, urging them toward something grand, something yet to be fully realized. The elderly man, whose voice had stirred their souls, spoke again, his brow furrowed with profound sincerity. Perhaps even in our trepidation, we're being called to face our fears. If we are to walk in this light, we must brace ourselves for what lies ahead. His words resonated through the crowd, igniting a flicker of determination within them. But how do we prepare? Someone whispered, a glint of worry in their eyes. Faith, Sarah replied, her own uncertainty quelled by the rising tide of collective purpose. Faith is our preparation. It will guide us when the path seems unclear. Together, we can kindle that faith into something actionable. What if we gathered every week to share our stories, our struggles, our triumphs? Offer the brave woman once more. We can build each other up, strengthen our faith, fortify our intentions. A few heads nodded, others still hesitant, but Sarah could sense the shift. The spirit in the air seemed to echo her thoughts, rallying them against the shadows of doubt. Yes, a place where we can be vulnerable and authentic. Sarah couldn't help but raise her voice, her enthusiasm electric. A sanctuary not just of light, but of love. A community bound together where every story matters. Imagine the power of sharing our burdens. Laughter erupted, easing the tension in the air as ideas began to flow like a fresh stream. They discussed not only meetings but also outreach, bringing meals to those unable to care for themselves, teaching children to find joy in song. As they planned, Sarah felt a longing within her, a desire to go deeper into what this new mission could entail. What did it mean to truly embody the light they'd received? What darkness loomed beyond their village that needed the radiance of their faith? Just then, a sudden gust swept through the shrine, strong and unexpected. It rushed past them like a breath of life, swirling around the villagers and carrying their whispered hopes upward like fragrant smoke. The colorful lights flickered wildly, as if affirming their plans. What if this is proof of our calling? One of the young men exclaimed, excitement dancing in his eyes. If we step forward in faith, we can send this light out to others beyond our walls, the people beyond our village. Gasps rippled through the group as they pondered the implications. Could they truly reach others, their message of hope extending beyond their known boundaries? And what if we falter? Came a hesitant voice from the back, uncertainty creeping back into the mix of hopeful energy. What if they don't understand? That is the essence of our faith. Sarah replied, her voice a blend of calm and conviction. If we show up with love, share our light in humility, then even in faltering steps, we will still illuminate the path for others. With a newfound determination, the villagers formed a tighter circle, their grip on each other's hands steadying them. They felt the warmth of a shared purpose. Together, they would face the unknown, step by step, heart by heart. As the prayer circle began, a hush fell over them, solemn yet expectant. Sarah felt the presence of the divine, surrounding them, wrapping around their dreams like a cocoon. It was clear the journey ahead was not just a mission. It was a metamorphosis, a transformation into something they had never envisioned. But as they began to pray, a new thought flickered through Sarah's mind, lingering like the last remnants of twilight. What if the journey itself was the answer to their faith? What if by venturing forth, they uncovered their true legacy? With that question lingering in her heart, the light brightened around them once more, whispering of the journeys yet to come. As the soft hum of prayer filled the shrine, Sarah closed her eyes, inhaling the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers that filtered through the open windows. The light around them intensified, dancing in harmony with their united voices, and she could feel a tangible energy surging within the group. This was more than a meeting. It was a sacred gathering of souls, poised on the cusp of transformation. Just then, the elderly man cleared his throat, breaking the meditative reverie. Together, we can amplify our light. We can share stories, yes, but what if we also seek stories beyond our walls? What if we ask others about their journeys? His mind seemed to weave threads of action into the vibrant tapestry of their mission, but a ripple of thoughtful murmurs echoed around the circle. Sarah's heart quickened. They weren't just planning meetings. They were forging connections, planting seeds of hope in the hearts of countless souls. We can be vessels of change, she thought, filled with inspiration. What if we create a festival? Another voice piped up, a young girl's voice bright and hopeful. We can invite neighboring towns, share our food, our songs, our laughter. It would be a celebration of stories. Yes, Sarah responded, the idea blooming like a vibrant flower in her mind. This is our opportunity to reach out. As ideas poured forth, Sarah's heart swelled with warmth. They envisioned days filled with music, laughter, and fellowship moments where others could feel the very light they had felt. As she looked around, the faces of her friends were alight with excitement, and in that shared moment, she sensed something ethereal rising among them, a deep undercurrent of spirit that seemed to affirm their mission. Yet beneath the joyful surface, a thread of anxiety still wove through her thoughts. What would they face when they ventured beyond their familiar village? Would they encounter disbelief or misunderstanding? Would their light be embraced or extinguished? Even if we stumble, we learn, the elderly man interjected, his gentle resolve a balm to her worries. Every heart we touch is a step on our journey, each conversation a chance to illuminate the darkness. The villagers pondered over his words, their eyes glistening with unshed tears. Everyone had their fears, but together they seemed just a little lighter, as if the very air was infused with courage. Sarah opened her eyes, searching for clarity. Let us not forget why we are doing this, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, yet it carried a profound authority. In the end, it is about love, about community. Those who accept our light will show us a light of their own. Nods of agreement circled through the group, hearts beating in synchrony. Sarah felt the warmth of divine affirmation wrap around them like a cloak of grace. It was as if the heavens themselves smiled down on their intentions in that moment. A renewed determination surged through her. This isn't just a mission, she reflected inwardly, but a divine calling for each of us to awaken others. Suddenly, a sharp breeze surged through the shrine once again. The flickering lights swirled into a brilliant flash, dimming the surrounding shadows. "Look!" someone gasped, pointing toward the window. Light streamed in, illuminating the elder's weathered face, making him look almost radiant. "What if?" Sarah whispered, wide-eyed with possibilities. "This light is just the beginning? What wonders await us?" Her question lingered, shrouding the gathering in both wonder and anticipation. It was a whisper to their spirits, leaving everyone questioning the magnitude of their next steps. Would they step bravely into the unknown, trusting in their bond and in the divine purpose laid out before them? With hearts racing, they could feel the wheels of destiny turning, setting the stage for their journey. They had reached a threshold, teetering between the comfort of the familiar and the adventure awaiting beyond their known horizon. What lay on the other side of that leap into faith? An answer was stirring, elusive yet intoxicating. As the last echoes of their excitement faded, Sarah felt a hush enveloping the shrine, drawing them into a sacred stillness. It was as if the air itself was thick with divine expectation, inviting them to embrace the unknown. The moment was electric, filled with the promise of something extraordinary waiting just beyond their reach. The elderly man raised his hands, signaling for a moment of reflection. "Before we step forward, let us pause. Let us invite the presence of God into our plans," he said. With solemnity, the group closed their eyes once more, anchoring in prayer. In that stillness, Sarah could hear her heartbeat, steady yet filled with anticipation. A soft, warm glow seemed to envelop them, wrapping them in a blanket of divine warmth. How beautiful, Sarah thought, to gather as one, sharing our hopes and dreams. As if sensing her thoughts, she felt a gentle nudge in her spirit, as though encouragement flowed through her veins. It reminded her of the story she had heard about the early disciples, stepping into uncertainty yet guided by an unshakable faith. Jesus sent his disciples to share his message not in perfection, but in boldness, she recalled. And with that inspiration, her worries lightened. They weren't meant to go out as flawless beings. They were meant to shine through their imperfections, their genuine struggles. The elderly man broke the silence, his voice filled with wisdom. "You see, one spark can ignite a fire, and we are all sparks." A gentle murmur of agreement passed among the group, lighting up their hearts with a shared understanding. "Let us send out invitations," the young girl suggested, bursting with enthusiasm. "To everyone, to the lonely, to the lost, to those who may not understand our light." Each word carried a power that stirred something deep within Sarah's soul. They were not merely dragging others into their festival. They were opening the door to embrace those neglected in the hustle of life. "Whoever finds a seat at our gathering will experience something special," Sarah added, her spirit ignited. "It will be a reflection of the joy and love that we have discovered." As they fleshed out their plans, Sarah's heart filled with hope, picturing vibrant scenes of their festival. Families laughing, children playing, stories weaving together in a tapestry of connection. Yet behind that vibrant vision was uncertainty. How will all of this be received? She thought, the doubt creeping back in. What if their light was met with closed hearts or derision? But she remembered the elderly man's words. "Even if we stumble, we learn." She began to see. Each challenge, each moment of fear would become another thread, stitching together a narrative of grace and courage. "Fresh doubts will arise," the elderly man reminded them gently. "But let us remember, every heart we touch is a new opportunity. With our love, we find a way." The room seemed to fill with energy, the spirit of connection growing stronger with each shared story and laugh. As they began to prepare their invitations, the atmosphere pulsed with anticipation. In that moment of collective spirit and shared vulnerability, Sarah realized something profound. "This journey isn't just about sharing our light," she whispered, standing up with newfound resolve. "It's about letting others reflect their own light back to us." Suddenly, the wind outside roared through the open windows, rustling the curtains wildly. The light flickered again, and Sarah felt a surge within her, a calling, a challenge to step deeper into faith. What awaited them beyond the festival? What doors might open once they embraced the full extent of their mission? The answers loomed, tantalizingly close yet still hidden in the embrace of divine mystery. Will their courageous light truly illuminate the darkness outside their walls? As heartbeats synchronized in the quiet room, Sarah felt a pulse of unity, a rhythm that echoed the heartbeat of something greater. Animated by the thought that they were embarking on a divine commission, she opened her eyes, filled with a fierce determination. Let us make these invitations truly reflective of what we believe, she proposed, her voice steady and bright amidst the remaining whispers of uncertainty. They should carry our story, our faith, and the love that binds us. The elderly man nodded, his face a canvas of encouragement. Each invitation, my friends, can be a seed, and every seed planted can one day bloom into a beautiful testament of God's love. Inspired, Sarah envisioned each invite as a pathway, a beckoning call to those who might feel a longing in their hearts, a longing for belonging, understanding, and hope. Let us share our stories. Another voice chimed in, bringing a spark of excitement. Let us tell others how we found our light. With renewed fervor, they gathered around a large table, crafting heartfelt messages together. Pen strokes filled the air like the sweet aroma of incense, each written word laden with authentic emotion. Laughter peppered their efforts. Stories of personal struggle and triumph rolled out like fragrant blooms. Remember, Sarah stated, we are sharing not perfect lives, but honest journeys. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow, a serene warmth wrapped around them once more. An ever-present reminder of the sacred endeavor they were standing at the brink of. Imagine the faces of those we invite. The elderly man encouraged softly, his voice a gentle breeze. Each person could be carrying burdens unknown to us. Our smiles, our words might be the light that lifts them. His eyes twinkled with wisdom, as if he could see each one of them breaking through the walls of isolation, standing shoulder to shoulder. Illuminated, it was in that moment that Sarah noticed a flicker of doubt almost vanishing like mist in the sunlight. What if we could give hope? What if we could ignite faith where it was once dim? She mused, her spirit soaring with possibility. Nearby, she could see other group members nodding, their eyes shining with shared dreams. The reality of what lay ahead came clearer. It was not just a festival, but a gathering of souls seeking connection, a divine intersection of their shared journeys. But would it truly reach those who needed it most? Will we be bold enough to touch the hearts aching outside these walls? Another member asked, her voice quivering as she processed her own uncertainties. Yes, Sarah replied passionately, we must be bold. Our hesitation cannot be greater than our hope. We gather not just for ourselves, but to be a beacon for others. The excitement crackled in the air, tangible and alive. As they finished the last of the invitations, Sarah's heart swelled. Tonight, she whispered, we send out prayers with every piece of paper. Every word carries weight. They each placed their palms on the stack of invites, binding their intentions in a collective prayer of love and courage. An inexplicable peace flooded the room, illuminating not just paper, but the very essence of their mission. Tomorrow morning, we deliver these, the elderly man said with grave intention. And with each step, we will, in faith, sow seeds of hope. What awaited them as they stepped into the world beyond? Would their boldness spark a revolution of light? With the sky now darkened and glimmering stars above, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something profound and transformative was on the verge of manifesting. The thrill of it sent shivers down her spine. What transformations lie in store for those who dared to enter the light and share their courage? The morning sun peeked through the windows, casting a warm glow on Sarah and her friends. Today was the day their labor of love would begin its journey into the world. Sarah's heart raced as she gathered the invitations, feeling the weight of their collective hopes and prayers resting in her hands. Let us pray before we go, she suggested, her voice steady. They formed a circle, hands clasped and foreheads bowed. The elderly man led them in prayer, his words wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. Lord, let these invitations carry our heart's intent. May they find their way into the hands of those who need them most. As they finished, there was a stillness in the air. Each heart beat in unison, a symphony of faith. Let us be bold, she exclaimed, her energy infectious. We're not just delivering invitations. We're inviting others into our journey with God. With a deep breath, they stepped outside, the crisp air refreshing and invigorating. Each stride felt purposeful as they made their way through the streets, each footfall echoing with intention. Sarah felt the pulse of the city around her, the murmur of conversations, the laughter of children, the sirens of distant emergency vehicles. When they reached the first house, a cozy little cottage with flowers blooming along the pathway, Sarah felt an unfamiliar flutter in her chest. She hesitated for only a moment before knocking on the door. The knock felt like a sacred opening, a threshold crossing into unknown territory. A woman answered, her face softening into a smile as she took in the gathering. "Hello, can I help you?" "Hi," Sarah responded, warmth igniting her voice. "We're sharing invitations to a community gathering. It's a space where stories are shared and hope is renewed." The woman's brow furrowed slightly, as if considering a memory just out of reach. "That sounds lovely, but I'm not sure," Sarah pressed on. "Many here have found comfort and connection through our gatherings. We believe it might be just what your heart needs." A flicker of something passed in the woman's eyes, curiosity. "Hope. Maybe I'll come," she said finally, reaching out to accept the invitation. As Sarah stepped back, she felt an electrifying sense of purpose. Each invitation delivered sprouted seeds. Each interaction, a potential flower blooming in the hearts of others. They continued down the street, each house a canvas for their love and hope. A teenager with headphones paused at their approach, intrigued. "What are you guys up to?" he asked, glancing at the colorful invites in their hands. "Sharing a message of community and faith," Sarah replied, her enthusiasm bubbling to the surface. "Will you join us?" She watched as the young man's expression shifted, as if he were contemplating a choice that could change his life's direction. As they moved through the neighborhood, they encountered varying responses, some warm, some hesitant, some unexpectedly joyous. Each interaction revealed a deeper truth. In stepping out, they were not just inviting others, they were also inviting the presence of God into their midst. But even as the day went on, shadows of doubt lingered in Sarah's heart. What if it doesn't reach them? She questioned later, when they took a moment to rest in the park. "Remember," the elderly man reminded her gently, "every person we meet carries their own story. What seems small to us could be monumental for them." That thought comforted her like a soft blanket. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, soaking in the sounds of laughter and the rustle of leaves overhead. With each invitation given, she felt as though they were not just sharing stories, but weaving an invisible thread, binding them together in faith. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of something monumental. But what awaited just around the corner? The divine purpose behind each invitation remained a mystery, one that whispered promises of connections yet to be made. Would hope spark anew in a heart waiting to break free? As the stars emerged in the twilight sky, Sarah felt a stirring reminder that journeys of faith often begin with a single step into the unknown. As the sun rose on the day of the gathering, an ethereal light spilled over the village, awakening the hearts of all who had dared to hope. The air buzzed with excitement as Sarah and her friends prepared their sanctuary for the festival. Banners fluttered like prayer flags in the gentle breeze, colors dancing under the sun's warm gaze. The village square, an unmistakable energy pulsed among the stalls adorned with homemade treats and handcrafted crafts. Children giggled as they darted about, and townsfolk mingled, their voices woven into a comforting tapestry of familiarity and newness. Each face bore a mark of anticipation, as if they carried the weight of shared stories and dreams. "Today is special," Sarah declared, gathering those who had rallied around her, hearts uniting in purpose. "Today, we become the light for others." Her voice rang out, confident and bright, igniting smiles that spread like wildflowers. As the celebratory music rose, Sarah led a procession to the center, where the shrine stood resplendent. Memories of past struggles dissolved in the warmth of shared laughter, their burdens lightened by communal joy. The elderly man stepped forward, his heart still thumping with purpose. "Here, we're not just celebrating ourselves. We're sowing seeds. Let this space shine with the love we found through faith." His words flowed like a river, inspiring a collective amen that echoed across the square. Amidst the fun, Sarah looked toward the horizon, feeling an unquenchable curiosity about those who would soon arrive. Would they bring stories rich with hope? Would they reflect back the light that had transformed her village? The merging of faith and action had birthed something anew, a yearning for connection that reached beyond their cozy hamlet. As the day blossomed, strangers began to arrive, drawn by colorful invites and the sweet aroma of freshly baked goods. Excited conversations erupted, and with each visitor, a flicker of intimacy ignited a spark, illuminating lives once untouched. Sarah welcomed each one, her heart swelling with gratitude that a young woman approached, eyes shining yet shadowed with uncertainty. "I heard some of what this gathering is about. I came to see," she whispered, a tremor in her voice. Come in, come in. We're all just learning together," Sarah responded, sensing the weight the woman carried. "Let's walk this journey side by side." With each shared story, anxiety melted into understanding. They lifted hearts as they connected over shared struggles and triumphs. Connections sparked like kindling, illuminating even the darkest corners. A barrier was breaking. The walls built by doubt crumbled under the weight of unity as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the square. Sarah took to her place at the front. "This gathering isn't a conclusion, but a beginning," she proclaimed, voice soaring. "Together, we've ignited something much more powerful, a web of hope stretching beyond ourselves. We are called to go forth, to be conduits of light, each anchored in love." Her words hung in the air, reverberating with the truth that bonded them all. A ripple of awe passed through the crowd, causing hearts to swell and eyes to glisten. And in that moment, something extraordinary unfolded. A vision of the village transformed, spreading their light far and wide. Tears flowed freely as the crowd joined in a prayer of commitment, not for themselves alone, but for others longing to know love. Their voices harmonized, rising to the heavens, drowning out fears that once held them captive. "We are here. We will love. We will shine." The festival reached its crescendo as laughter echoed off the walls and newfound friendships flourished. The villagers danced, a joyful choreographed movement of grace and gratitude. In the midst of it all, Sarah caught a glimpse of the light surrounding them, shimmering like the first stars appearing in dusk. But amid the jubilant celebration, a quiet assurance settled over her spirit. This was just the beginning, a call to remain active in their faith, to bravely step into the world with open hearts. The journey was ever unfolding, the task sacred and divine. As twilight descended, Sarah stood beneath the shrine, her heart bursting with love. When we walk in faith, placing our trust in God, miracles unfold. Light has the power to illuminate even the darkest corners. Holding hands with those around her, they took a collective breath, grounded in gratitude. Each heart was alive with promise as they breathed in the divine atmosphere of the evening. They were not the same humble villagers who once cowered in fear. They were transformed carriers of hope, emboldened to share their love with courage. "Let us share this light beyond our village," someone shouted, igniting a spirit of spontaneity. "Let others bask in its warmth." The air thickened with resolve, and an infectious energy spread like wildfire among them. And as they finally stepped forward, Sarah knew miracles were just beginning. entwining faith, love, and community. The journey awaited each moment, offering an opportunity to shine brightly for the world, to illuminate lives once cloaked in darkness. In that unforgettable night, the village flourished in the light they had found and shared. The echoes of hope rang out, "Let us walk on," and they did. As the final notes of celebration faded into the night sky, Sarah's heart sang in tune with an unwavering faith, knowing God had transformed them for a greater purpose. Each step was a testimony, every flicker of light a reminder. Their story was woven together, and their voice was a beacon calling others to find their own path toward hope. Remember, dear friends, if your faith has been moved, you need to subscribe now. Your support is invaluable as we embark on even more stories of divine promise. Leave a like immediately to show your love and help spread the message. Don't hesitate to comment below with your thoughts and testimonies from this magnificent journey. And share this video right now with at least 5 friends who need to experience the miracle of community and faith. Together, we can shine even brighter